A train reactor spitting fire. The NFT analyzer. Diving deep into projects. He's the crypto energizer. From mint coins to tokens.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. This is 3 years in the making, Randy. 3 years. So everyone tuning in, for 3 years I've been trying to get Randy here. So I can't wait to introduce you to. But on a show, whether it was our CryptoSlam Clubhouse show, whether it's a personal show, whether it was this one, 3 years. And he always said there had to be the right reason. It had to be the right time and place. Here we go. We're the lucky bunch today. We got him, fam. Appreciate you guys joining, like always. We're going to kick it off, have a good chat with Randy, the founder, CEO of CryptoSlam, guy I can call a friend. Lucky to have you as a friend, Randy. Pleasure working with you. Let me say real quick, guys, make sure you're subscribed here to SlamX Official. Because, yeah, we got Randy right now, and I think we're going to get him again. If you're nice to him, I bet we get him back again. But make sure you're subscribed here to SlamX Official on YouTube, SlamX.io over on X. We got a lot more coming. With that said, Randy, man, great to see you. Finally.
Should I say GM, Hudah?
Dude, if you did, it would be your first ever GM, I think. So this is probably the right place.
I said I wanted to save it, so GM.
I put monumental in the initial tweet. That's why I had a feeling something like this was going to happen. So GMs, man, GMs.
Yeah, there's an inside story there. I don't know how interesting it is, but it certainly is between Hudah and I. But yeah, Hudah, seriously, like I'm the lucky one. You have no idea how excited I am to be here. I hardly slept last night.
Huh.
I don't even think I slept the day before either. So if I look half asleep, it's because I am. Like I'm that excited to be here. Like if I look back at when you and I first started talking about, there was no chain reactor like as a name for a show, but just this concept of you doing this on behalf of CryptoSlam, yourself, like the industry. Like we've come a long ways. You've come a long ways. The show's come a long ways, and you've got a handful of them now. But the exciting thing is honestly, it's really just scratched the surface of what's to come. So there's a bit of a teaser there.
Yeah, this will be interesting as we kind of navigate this conversation, because I think there is a lot to come. And I mean, to be fair, probably some of it you can't say today. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, like I'm here to, on behalf of CryptoSlam, to say that there are some fun announcements coming next week, and stay tuned. That's basically the message. We haven't been, we've been busy. We'll just put it that way over the last, honestly, since December of 2018, but not everything is visible. We'll put it that way, but it'll start to come to light starting next week.
Yep. Okay. All right. I'm wearing a couple hats today, of course, part of the CryptoSlam team, but also part of this community. I'm going to try to pull a little alpha out of you today too, and you guys watching.
Let's do it.
It's worth a shot, right? I know Randy can see the comments here.
And okay, can I say something too before you start grilling me?
Of course, yeah.
So like I watched, from when I can, like Chain Reactor. It's and the other shows you're on, and like you're on with your brother and like others, and it's a pretty fun vibe. Like you guys will make fun of each other, and it's I love it. It's very entertaining. But I don't think what doesn't get said, which is a bit of a secret perhaps to your listeners, is that like this guy. So I'm not talking to you now, Hudah. I'm talking to everybody else. Like this guy on the screen, like not me, like the other one, Hudah, is like one of the nicest, most genuine, like a true hardest working, a true treasure, like to all of Web3. And I don't think that gets said often enough, if ever. So if you don't remember anything else I say today, like remember that. And quite frankly, he's not the only one on the CryptoSlam team. He just happens to be the guy that is on air talking all the time. Well, like we're filled with him, but make no mistake, like this guy's the real deal, and a huge asset to CryptoSlam, and even beyond. So
Man, right in the heartstrings. Dude, appreciate that. All of it. Quick point, you said there's others on the team and a very similar thought across the team. Part of what we're doing here is wanting to introduce you guys to who it is that has been working and building this site, this platform, much more over the past, at this point, what, Randy? 6 years? 6 years.
Yeah.
So expect to see a lot more of this, a lot more behind the scenes, a lot more talk. About the vision and about where we see this space going and how we've always seen where it's heading. And truthfully, that's kind of how it's worked. And you'll hear that through the story of CryptoSlam. Okay, as a starting point, I have more and more been asking people this question as I get to know them, right? And so I want to ask you this question as people get to know you here. For NFTs and or crypto, what was your aha moment? Because to me, that's a defining moment, and I think it says a lot about the person. The moment that NFTs or crypto clicked for you, when you realized what it was and why it was such a big deal. And that just hit me again a day or two ago because I saw Donald Trump talking about this, who few NFT collections at this point. He said it was NFTs that made crypto click for him, which I thought was pretty incredible. My story is similar, but for you, how did that play out?
I would say the exact same thing. It was NFTs that made crypto click for me. And so my aha moment would have been this month, actually, in 2018. I was following crypto from a distance, learning what I could. But there was an article in CoinDesk about on CoinDesk about a project called MLB Champions. And as you know, like I'm a big lifelong collector of baseball cards. You can see all the signed Royals photos behind me. There's I never gave it up either, by the way. Like I collected these things as a kid, and now I'm a 40 almost 49-year-old adult, and I still collect this stuff. Well, anyway, so my aha moment was like MLB Champions, and I saw it as, oh, these are NFTs. I've heard of NFTs, and these things are going to be minted on Ethereum, and I saw it as digital baseball cards. I got it like instantly. The project launched in August. I started buying these things. I aped in something terrible, and something that Mark Cuban said, I think in January of 21 with the NBA Top Shot run. Like I felt it. It was some of these collectibles that I acquired in my MetaMask wallet gave me that same rush, that same feeling. When I got them, like whether it was a Mike Trout, Salvador Perez, Shohei Ohtani, Alex Gordon, whatever it was at the time, like it was the same as like getting these things in a pack of cards that I could hold in my hand. I got that same rush. So I had the aha moment would have been in July, and then I was all in forever when I started actually buying these things.
So sports collectibles, it makes a lot of sense. It's why NBA Top Shot was such a big reason that the masses came in. And truthfully, it was NBA Top Shot was what brought my attention here. And funny enough, Mark Cuban talking about NFTs, on the news. Specifically, he said, man, what was it? He said they're highly speculative. He was really dismissive of them. So he was like, hey, they're super speculative. Just, I wouldn't even, he's kind of like telling you not to look at them. I'm like, this guy, he's telling me to look at them. Which he wasn't, but like I read into it. It was pretty obvious. There was something pretty important going on there. So cool story. Were you in crypto before NFTs, or did you literally get into crypto because of NFTs?
I think my funnel would have been figure out how to get on Coinbase, which wasn't that big of a deal. Get the credit card or the bank account, whatever it was, hooked up to it. Buy Ethereum, funnel it, then figure out MetaMask, funnel it to a MetaMask wallet, and then go buy NFTs. Like that was it. And if you look at the price of Ethereum at the time, like the amount of Ethereum I bought for that came straight from fiat, right? That went straight into NFTs was, in today's value was pretty ridiculous. But that would have been.
You want to throw out a ballpark figure?
Well, let's put it this way. Like, I don't even know how many Ethereum NFTs I own, but it's well over 10,000. So like 12, 15,000 Ethereum NFTs. So think of like just the gas alone to buy those in 2018, 2019. So yeah, I don't know. In Ethereum, the price of Ethereum, I know this, like bottomed out in December of 2018, like the month that I registered the CryptoSlam.io domain, by the way. So like that's when Ethereum bottomed out. So like right around there, it was like under $100. So I don't know what it's 30, 40x since then. Like just in gas, not to mention like what I've got into the NFTs.
Right. Okay. I have a feeling we'll end up circling back to those MLB Champions NFTs, but help me make this connection then. So 2018, you discover NFTs, you start collecting them. CryptoSlam was born in 2018. How did that come to be? What made you make the jump from just being a collector to all of a sudden, no, not enough. I need to be building in this space.
Well, I've always been a builder. Like I didn't think, oh wow, I'm going to go do a startup now and try to. It was nothing like that at all. It was more the startup eventually founded me rather than the other way around. But like I had all these things, and so did a lot of other people, and there was a clear need for somebody to take the raw data. Now I'm going to get nerdy. Like you've got raw data on chain. The collectibles are on there somewhere. But back then, like there was no transparency, no way to go actually see how many Salvador Perez's there were. Like nobody knew of different rarities, different types, what the sales prices were. Like there was nothing like that. So it was a need. Like if I didn't do it, somebody else was going to do it. But it was pretty easy for me to get to work. So it would have been like December 2018, January 2019. I just went heads down for like a month, and coded and did everything like the first iteration of CryptoSlam. Shared it with the community, like in Discord, that January, February, whatever it was, and I knew I was onto something pretty quick.
So you made it when you created the site. Primarily, was it for you to use, but on top of you knew others that were collecting the same stuff as you were going to use it too? Did you have the vision that it would be so much bigger than it was?
I had the vision that it could be. Like that's why it was called CryptoSlam and not like baseball slam, or you know what I mean? Like it was okay. This could turn into something. I knew as a collector, just the need from back in the day we had the Beckett baseball card guide. It's which was for baseball cards, and eventually expanded into basketball and football. And we saw that with NFTs too. So it was like, well, let's make this broad enough to where it could, grow with the industry. If it does, if not, that's fine too. Like I didn't really think that far in advance at the time. It was just more, we know we need this now. Let's see where this thing goes.
Yeah. I love the Beckett analogy, by the way. Always have to. I first heard it when, Gary V mentioned it. This is going back 3 years. It was 2021, and I think Gary first found the site, and I think he fell in love with it. He had tweeted about the site, and he said it reminded him of Beckett. And so you see here in the comments, Tickle Snarf's my older brother, and we used to go, I remember grabbing a Beckett's and going to like my room or our study, and I would just go and just lay it on the ground and just like read through it. I don't know why. I don't know what it is.
Hudah, I got a Beckett over there like right now.
I bet.
Like they still make those. Yeah. Like it's not as big of a deal as when we were kids, but yeah.
It's wild.
It's needed. It's needed.
It's needed, and it's wild to think it's also now, expanded out to this digital space. It's expanded out to Web3, and it's not just sports collectibles, man. Now it's art. It's all kinds of collectibles, and it's wild. I think we've just scratched the surface of the type of things we'll be tracking on CryptoSlam. How has tracking changed from the first iteration? I don't remember how many blockchains there were at the very beginning, but how has it changed from that first iteration through a couple upgrades to where it is now, and then ultimately what you think it's going to be here, whether in near future or way down the road? Actually, I'd like to hear both.
Well, maybe get into the evolution. In the very beginning, it was one collection on Ethereum. That was it. There just wasn't a lot at the time. If you would have seen OpenSea in early 2019, like there just was not a lot. So it was largely MLB Champions, and that project did pretty well in 2019, and then it didn't. But so what happened was a lot of that community, which was very, very small, by the way, it wasn't baseball fans. Like there were some in there, but it was largely crypto people that, oh wow, I can do something more interesting with my crypto now, and you saw people like getting into baseball simply because there were these NFTs being minted. Well, what happened was there was another company called SoRare, which we know really well. They're a juggernaut there. That was where a lot of people then drifted to next. Well, as logically happened, Ethereum is, we know this now, Ethereum isn't the greatest place to launch, any sort of like gaming application. And, that was figured out early on. And SoRare, actually, I don't know how many people know this, it was partially anyway on a now defunct, I think it's defunct, blockchain called Loom.
Oh, wow.
So it was like Ethereum plus Loom. So what we had to do, by this point, I had found, one of my best friends in crypto. His name's Artem. So shout out to Artem if he's listening. So it wasn't just me at that point. It was our founding engineer, is what we call him around here. He's still with us. Yeah, like he had to go figure out Loom and like, how do we make this thing multi-chain? We had to go multi-chain in order to track SoRare. So that's what we did. And then we had to go add another chain in order to track garbage pail kids on Wax. Okay. And we knew NBA Top Shot was coming. So we had to do yet another chain. So like the whole multi-chain thing, it just happened by necessity.
And because it was necessary, you probably got that, like your instinct probably kicked in early on. You're like, that's where this is going. It's spreading out, more and more chains. So especially after we just got through this bear market where people who were, Ethereum maxis or Solana maxis or whatever their chain, a lot of people did not believe this was really going to be a multi-chain ecosystem. And the bear market changed people when you really had to look for opportunities, and sometimes they weren't on your chain and you were desperate. Like you just had to be making a move somewhere, trading, maybe it's collecting. But people finally really started branching out across chains. You saw it because of that? Because early on, there were these products coming out on different chains, and did you think it was going to grow this fast outward?
Well, no, this fast outward would be the answer to that. But everybody back then, we knew that the gas was an issue, speed was an issue. It was, and you heard like in the background, this company called Dapper Labs was building Flow for the sole purpose of solving a lot of those early problems for guys like me that were dumping God knows what on gas on Ethereum. So for those types of, like, imagine if NBA Top Shot had launched on Ethereum, like what would have happened with the fees when that blew up? Like it was ridiculous. So yeah, like my instinct kicked in, just knowing that we needed another better home for these types of applications. But yeah, I didn't necessarily expect this many. And in fact, I know you and I've talked about this. I'd argue there's too many now.
Yeah, let's get into that. Actually, I was going to ask you: is there a point where it's too much? Are we already there? Because the ecosystem is changing yet again, and it's these L2s. It's L2s. It's other L1s. Randy, it's so crazy. We're talking L3 nows, and people are joking about L4s and L5s. This reminds me of like old Saturday Night Live skits where I think there was like a razor blade commercial when there was like this joke about Gillette razors had 2 blades, and then it was 4, and then it was 50 blades. It feels like the space is growing out that in a memeable way. It's like L50s when, right? Is this good what's happening here right now? And what's the solution to this ultimately?
Is it good what's happening right now? It's not a yes. I'm hesitant to say no, right. But it's definitely not a yes. So to be clear, I'm not saying we don't need additional chains. I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is that we need the right chains for the right reasons, not just simply let's try to squeeze in another few transactions per second that might be used someday. We've already made those innovations. We clearly needed that if you look at where we were in 2018, but we've got some really good solutions now. So what I don't like, CryptoSlam, you know this, like we're the multi-chain aggregator. Like any new chain that comes out, like we need to support. And it's like, there's just a lot of, what I would call like inefficiencies and not necessarily wasted resources, but I just think our resources could be better spent coming together more. So instead of getting wider, like coming together more, being more interoperable, and yeah, like building the applications that are going to give us our next NBA Top Shot moment, our next So Rare, our next Axie Infinity. You know, and there are some out there that definitely have that potential, but we're not doing that if we're spreading our user base wide. And you know, we lose those network effects. You know, any chance for interoperability. We have to then go spend time and resources, not we as in CryptoSlam, but as an industry, like building bridges, like literal bridges between all of these systems. And it's like, well, wouldn't that capital be better deployed actually building the applications?
And we're seeing users really starting to push back against like all these bridges and having their you know, their ETH or whatever currency stretched so thin, not enjoying the process, and ultimately choosing to maybe not bridge and sit out and miss this or miss that. It's kind of a bummer that the space is so PvP. It really is, where I thought, and I still do think, the beauty of this space is how it's collaborative, how it is kind of a us versus them to some degree, but it's also let's win all of them over. So it's just all of us. It's just all of us building together.
Yeah, it should be more collaborative. It really should. It's that, like, I'm the biggest capitalist in the world, I think. Anyway, I don't know. I'm definitely a capitalist, but that said, you know, we don't necessarily need strict competition on everything. Like the beauty of Web3 and the, you know, I'll say it again, like the term interoperability, that was being thrown around in 2018. Well, if I will put it this way, so I've got like Mickey Mantles, you know, in my collection. Like I can hold that thing in my hand. I could go sell it on eBay or whatever, but I can't really do anything with it. Other than sell it. Well, the beauty of NFTs was supposed to be somebody could create this asset on the blockchain that has value, and then others in a non-permissioned way could go and build cool stuff with that. Where is the cool stuff that's being built on top of, you know, these cool NFTs that are on the blockchain? We're not seeing it. We're just getting spread wider and wider. So what I'd love to see is more interoperability in I know that's a big word. I don't think, like, interoperability to me means like if I own an asset, it's like I should be able to do whatever I want with that, you know, and that includes build off of it.
Right.
And smart contracts are so, I'm not a smart contract expert. I know enough to be dangerous, but they're flexible enough to where we could do really cool things with them to incentivize like these asset creators to get builders to build on top of their stuff rather than going and building something new.
How do you do that? No, how do you do that? How do you incentivize builders to actually work together? I mean, again, since we've seen, it's been proven, you can't incentivize them. You can't just hope and assume they're going to build. They're not, you know, they're not. They're going and building on their own in their own silo. How do we get people building together?
Is it lame if I say stay tuned until next week?
No. Actually, I was hoping to hear that. I didn't know you were going to say that. I'm staying tuned until next week, but it sounds like maybe a little something to help on that front.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Perhaps.
Interesting. By the way, believe it or not, I don't know all the inner workings, all the goings-ons behind the scenes. There's so many times I chat with Randy and he drops something. I'm like, are you kidding? We're building that. We're doing that. Like, often blown away by what's going on behind the scenes. So like, I also have to stay tuned to next week.
What's up with that SlamX logo, by the way? Like there's like a dollar sign that kind of comes in and out.
Yeah. Wink, wink, I guess, huh? But that part's exciting. Happens to be one of the things I know enough about to be dangerous, but also like you, I'm waiting to see some of this stuff revealed. I can tell you what I do know is pretty damn exciting. So yeah, I think I can echo stay tuned there. Okay, kind of an intermission and kind of putting you on the spot. What's your favorite NFT project post? I'm going to make this hard for you. I'm not going to let you use MLB Champions. Post 2021.
Does it have to be NFTs?
I think it has to be. I mean, let's hear what your answer is, but it probably has to be an NFT.
I was going to say it's pretty instantly bullish on the fantasy top when that came out.
No kidding. That's perfect. Well, they are NFTs. The beauty there is they don't call them NFTs really, right? They just call them fantasy heroes or something.
Yeah. I want to see where that goes. I don't know, like as a collection, I don't know. It's Hudah. There's just not a lot out there that gets the. Remember why I got into this? Like, yeah, there's just so post MLB champions. How about Garbage Pail Kids? How about that?
That works. That works. A pure
It's
collectible,
probably
right?
not what you were looking for, something like D Gods or yeah.
Not gonna lie, I was looking for something controversial. The fact that it's Garbage Pail Kids, actually, it's awesome. Again, a pure collectible. I don't know if people ever gamified those. If so, awesome. But I like those too. I think they're awesome. I know.
No, it brought me a CryptoSlam co-founder, Johan. So right. That's you know this story. That's how we bonded. Was we met on, I think it's Telegram, because we were building our GPK sets, and you know CryptoSlam was a big part of that too. Like we were the first ones to like assign mint numbers. So if you had like an atom bomb Garbage Pail Kid in the very, very beginning, like they were all created equal, but CryptoSlam was like, no, these things aren't equal. Like there's provenance on these, and some were created before others. So there would have been like serial numbers, mint numbers, like assigned to them. So anyway, point was like Artem and I did some release on CryptoSlam, and it instantly made GPKs, different ones, like more valuable and less valuable overnight, because people realize that, hey, these things are non-fungible. They're not all the same. The same thing actually happened with NBA Top Shot. Like they, in the very, 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 very beginning, like after the Cosmic packs came out, like there were no serial numbers. Like there
on
weren't.
Top Shot,
CryptoSlam showed like the order they were minted, but there weren't any. Then eventually, like Flow like retroactively acknowledge the order. But anyway, those types of non-fungibility aspects have always been important to me, because it gets into the whole collector thing. You know, these, even though they're similar, they're not identical.
Some of that I didn't know at all. By the way, Tickle, I like some of your questions. I'm going to come back to those. One in particular, your second question, I like a lot, because there's things about CryptoSlam data. Again, when I say I don't know everything behind the scenes, I don't. I've got my finger on the pulse, and I've been quite a bit hands-on earlier on. But there's things I've learned about our data that is different, that I would argue is, I don't want to get PvP. I don't want to say, we can say better. I don't know. I'll leave that part to you. But there are things that definitely differentiate the data that to me matter a lot. So I definitely want to come back to that. Let me think if I got any other questions to maybe get some controversial takes out of you. No, I'm not going to do it. I had one in mind. I'm not going to do it, Randy. I will ask before we get back to the site, and there's some historical things I want to ask, and some decisions that you or we as a platform have made. I want to ask how you feel about Donald Trump, who I mentioned at the start of the show, now being in this space. Andrew Tate, suddenly all about this space. Not in NFTs yet, but in crypto, to the point where we had Thread Guy, one of the biggest influencers in this space, interview him just a week and a half ago. It's growing faster than I thought, and we kind of visited that. I just want to know your thoughts on that level of celebrity now being in this space. Do you want to see him here? Do you think it's good or bad for the space? Are they actually pushing us forward?
Well, the Polygon collection, the Trump one, was one of the very, very few successful bright spots for NFTs in the depth of the bear. It had a bit of the collectability aspect tied to it, but also, access. So I did think that was innovative. I thought that more people might try to do that, like more celebrities might try to do that. I think it somewhat manifested in, some of the new SocialFi applications that have come out, where you think about it, like getting access to people's time, like it's a limited resource, like that's a big deal. So I actually thought, say what you will about the collection, it was pretty innovative at the time. Yep. So from that perspective, I thought it was cool. But then, like any sort of, good news from less, or how should I put it? The more friendly, like the US government is to crypto and the industry in general, like is just good for all of us. So, I'd say it's, if you think of like the discussions that we were having a year or two ago compared to where we are now, it may not feel like we're where we want to be right now, but we're certainly heading in the right direction, when it comes to like the regulatory stuff.
I mean, a sign of how far it's come, it's the fact that Andrew Tate and Trump talking about these things on a regular basis doesn't move markets, and these things in 2021 even, and probably even to a degree in 2022, absolutely would. They mention a collection, they mention even NFTs, the whole market flies. And it doesn't happen anymore, really at all.
And we're expecting it now.
So
it's like, if negative news came out, like I would expect it to negatively impact the markets. But I think everybody's expecting the U.S. is going to get there. It's just a process, and just takes time.
Yep. Great take there. Okay, I do want to get back to then the platform itself and talk about the evolutions of the platforms. That's going to bring us to some of those decisions, which some of the decisions on the platform, we have good heated discussions like internally about them. I'm talking wash tradings. I'm talking even BRC20 tracking. But yeah, what are the milestones of CryptoSlam from when it started till now? And I'm trying to think, well, I'll tie that to what's coming, I guess, somehow, some way. But yeah, just curious, what were the different iterations or phases of CryptoSlam?
Well, we've talked a bit about the early days, like my life changed when NBA Top Shot happened. So for a month or two, we were the only game in town, and there were thousands of people constantly, like per, I don't know, minute, hour, whatever it was, like, hey, what's this NBA Top Shot thing? And if, like we were an integral part of that for many people, because their first foray into NFTs or even into crypto were because of that. So,
by the way, a walk down memory lane just as you're talking, seeing this is the all-time top collections here. I'm sure some of them are familiar, and I wonder if you're surprised by some of them that have moved up over the years now, but.
Yeah, like the NBA Top Shot, like look at the transactions too on NBA Top Shot. It's not just the volume, but 33 million, and like look at the number of buyers, 796,000. Like that. So many of those came in early on, and at that time there weren't other data companies. Like it was us. So that was a pretty big iteration, like time period for us, and then we brought Mark Cuban into the CryptoSlam picture, and then all of a sudden, like this project I started, turned into a startup, and we were off to something completely different. So that was a pretty big deal. So I'd say NBA Top Shot brought Mark Cuban and our seed funding from that. You've got Axie Infinity there at the top. That's likely what brought our good friends at Animoca Brands into the picture. That would have Axie Infinity was the story the summer of 2021, right after the apes were minted. Axie Infinity just went crazy. And again, we were early. We were the only ones tracking them, so we were a very big part of the story for them. So yeah, like bringing it full circle. What motivates me and what I like about what we do at CryptoSlam is we help bring new users into the space. And that's always going to be in our DNA. We need to provide valuable tools that helps advanced users get what they need. But at the end of the day, we want to take something that's complex and very raw, like the data that's on the blockchain. And we want to make the stories like as simple as possible. Like it's telling the story, the biggest NFT collection of all time. What is it? Who's going to tell that story? It's us. It's Axie Infinity.
What's the word? There's a term you used recently, and I had to ask you to define it for me, to describe the data. Enriched data. What does that mean?
Yeah. So it's a bit nerdy. Like think of the stuff on the blockchain as raw. Then you have decoded data. So that would be like a sales log, which is pretty easy to get by at this point. It wasn't a long time ago. So that would be like take the raw data and do something, let people know that this was a sale for this much between these people or these wallets anyway. But then the really interesting stuff is then the enriched. And so that's what you're seeing here. Like Being able to tell a story with that by aggregating all of the NFT sales from all time, from basically any chain, to know how much volume was traded, how many people, how many unique wallets. Like, that is an insanely difficult number to get to, and that's where we shine.
Love it. I want to tell you, this is actually for you, Randy. It's for the people watching. I want to tell you a couple things that stand out to me here, and I'm curious if anything stands out to you too. But again, just how much this space has changed and evolved over the years here. I got in very early 21, late 2020. But back then it was Axie Infinity, and not long after I got in, it was Bored Ape Yacht Club. And so we see a lot of familiar faces here in the top 10. I'm always watching for projects, collections, platforms that move up in the collection rankings, that position themselves on the all-time leaderboard here, but who are newer, and D-Market stands right out to me as that. Couple years old here, but it speaks to their product, and their product is something that has lasting appeal and mainstream appeal. And if you don't know, their product is gaming skins. I'm talking Counter-Strike gaming skins, it's Dota 2 gaming skins, it's Rust. I'm trying to think of some of the others, Team Fortress. And those skins aren't on-chain themselves, but I believe the transaction is tokenized, and it is on-chain. And you see that in just a couple years, number 14 all-time, getting close to $500 million in all-time sales is wild. Again, a taste of what's to come, and that's why I like to hop on the site and check it out and catch trends before other people do. I don't see a lot of people talking about it, and how are you not talking about something that is now in the top 15 all-time NFT collections? So the alpha is just looking and paying attention. And again, that's exactly what I do. Similarly, it's ordinals, and that ordinals collection is a bunch of ordinals projects kind of grouped in one because of how these are, I guess, categorized on Bitcoin. And I don't know if it's that there's not always unique identifiers with inscriptions, and I think that's the case, but just seeing that ordinals itself has just taken off in just over a year, that is absolutely shocking to me. In just over a year, we're seeing it compete with some of the all-time greats here. And the same there, you can say that about Node Monks and Rune Stones. And then that gets it to BRC20s. Let's do BRC20s maybe a little out of order because really it's wash trades that to me is the biggest story. But BRC20s came onto the scene. God, guys, remind me, you guys who trade BRC20s, no, it's more than 6. Is it about a year old that BRC20s started? Randy, I'm assuming you don't trade them, so I don't know if you know exactly when that was. You probably remember the conversations, actually. When did BRC20s come to be? Let's just say for the conversation, let's say a year ago.
I definitely don't trade them. I actually don't trade at all and haven't for a while, which is
shocking
by design. If I were to trade, I would not trade these. But yeah, like I think it was more like in the fall, maybe maybe right around this time, maybe a little later.
Okay.
Yeah.
And okay, I think they automatically, a lot of our processes are automated at this point. So BRC20s, I think, get ingested and they get put on the site. I'm glad they do. I like seeing everything. I will mention something I mentioned to Randy behind the scenes.
Is the question like why we track them?
Why the hell are you tracking BRC20s, Randy? What are we doing, man?
Because they're NFTs, and we are the world's leading NFT data aggregator.
It's an interesting statement. And like I said before, we've had these conversations internally, and there are people who feel maybe still do, but I'll say felt strongly that they're not NFTs, and others who felt and still feel strongly that they are. Do you remember the technical points of why definitively we consider them NFTs, why they are?
Yeah, I mean, we consider them NFTs because they are NFTs is what I would say. Like it's not even like a debate. Think of it like the underlying asset, maybe so it's like a basket of assets. The underlying asset may be fungible, but the asset itself, like the basket, is non-fungible. So it just gets into you can call them whatever you want, like BRC20s, I would say the world's not necessarily a better place because these things exist. It's no surprise to me that they had their day, and where are they at now? That was zero surprise to me because putting put another way, like Bitcoin was not designed to house these things, and it was like we were going backwards from an evolutionary perspective by shoving that which doesn't belong in a spot where insanely expensive to trade. Like, I get it. Like, I think, like, as a trader, if I put myself in the shoes of the people in on this, it's just something new, fun to do that, go ride another wave. But technically, Bitcoin is just not a good home for fungible tokens or really any sort of digital asset other than Bitcoin itself. That's why we have these other chains. Like, they do a much better job of it. But like the BRC20s, it's like, if you look at the way they're traded, like, there's provenance associated with each inscription. Like, you don't get that. Like, if you and I both sent 10 ETH to a wallet, and that wallet then sent 5 ETH to someone else, like, you wouldn't know like whose ETH that was. But with BRC20s, that's not the case. You can totally track it. So it's non-fungible.
Interesting. Okay, I love it, dude. I love the clarification. This is something. Well, of course, in the peak of BRC20s, everyone was talking about it. There was a lot of spaces talking about BRC20s and really the Bitcoin community using the numbers that BRC20s were doing to say, hey, our ecosystem's killing everybody. We're crushing ETH. We're crushing Solana. And man, I respected the hell out of Hudah from Taproot Wizards and Quantum Cats, being like, settle down, guys. Settle down. Like, yes, we get it. Those numbers are NFTs, but let's be real about what they actually are. There's some great leaders over in that Bitcoin ecosystem, I'll say that. Some very honest and pretty real guys. I love that collection, by the way. I love that community as a whole. Not just Taproot Wizards, but the Bitcoin guys. Like, they're a bunch of grown-ups over there and degens, and I really like them. Okay, a couple things here. I do want to point out as the last thing that really stands out to me, guys, Pandora. Keep your eyes on Pandora, right? This is the ERC 404 collection. And I say keep your eyes on it because I think most people don't realize this, but that is the top NFT collection this year to date. And this is as of about 6 weeks, maybe 8 weeks ago. I don't think anything surpassed it, but Pandora's done the most sales volume out of any NFT collection this year. To me, really impressive considering what the market is and what it isn't, which doesn't feel like a bull market yet. But Pandora's right there and climbing those rankings. And I actually love the tech. I think ERC 404 is something special. So again, I use the site to find little guys like this, and not so little anymore. So good stuff over there. Guys, I do want to mention, we'll probably call it maybe 10-ish minutes. But reason being, guys, the CyberKongz mint is coming up. I know a lot of you guys are excited to get in on that. So am I. I know Randy's got a meeting right at the top of the hour here. So yeah, about 10 more minutes to go. But man, I appreciate you guys tuning in so far. Make sure to like the video, share it out with your buddies. Most of all, subscribe. Just make sure you're subscribing because I want to make sure that you guys are catching everything coming up here. Again, it's in a matter of days that we're going to be able to fill you in with some big details. Okay, off of that, back to the site and decisions. Randy, wash trading. I love this. I love chaos. I'll just put it that way. And I told you how cool I think it would be to have a chaos filter on the site. Just chaos. Show everything. Show wash trades, money laundering. Just let's see what the leaderboard looks out when you let the inmates run the asylum. Is that the saying? And it would shock a lot of people. It would, because very recently, and this is going back over the past like month or two, without any kind of how do I call it, cleanup involved on our site, probably most of the top 10 collections you'd be looking at is pure money laundering. It's collections you've never heard of. You're not going to find them if you search X. You're not going to find them if you search online. And you're not going to find them if you go to any marketplace. You only see it here because it's done maybe directly through the contract. And it's not real and it's not a good look for the space. So we zap those, and we don't zap them because it's not a good look. We zap it because it's not real and it's not what you guys and we want to see. Still, chaos mode. Think about it, Randy. Be fun. Why do we clean these up, though? Why do we separate wash trades?
Well, you know the CryptoSlam head of product pretty well. You should talk to that guy. I love it. We wouldn't want it to be we wouldn't want chaos mode to be the default, but it sounds like a fun toggle though.
Okay, I'll hit him up, and actually I want to get him on this show too at some point.
Yeah,
so we'll make that happen. Okay, so then wash sales. We didn't always filter wash sales. I remember it was another discussion similar to BRC20s. It was like a huddle, and guys, we got to do something here. Like the space is changing. There's moments here where everything changes in an instant. It happens. So what was the story here with wash sales and how things changed and why and how we had to pivot?
Well, I wouldn't say we had to pivot. I would say we didn't track wash sales because they weren't material. Like if there were wash sales at the time, it was very, very tiny, and until it wasn't. So the answer is what happened was LooksRare happened. What would that have been? January-ish of 2022.
Yeah, let's pull that.
We had no choice. You have some good numbers on that?
Yeah, I'm going to go to the monthly numbers here, and it just stands out. It just stands out the moment it became a thing. So yes, early, what was 2021?
22, January 22 would have been my guess.
Yep.
Yeah, there you
go.
go.
So here we go. There's December 21. Here's January 22. And
yeah, so December, look at that. That's December. That's million. That number in January, that is not million. That is 11 billion.
Randy caught me with this earlier. I'm like, okay, 11 million. He's like, look again. He's like, that's not million. Guys, 11 billion in wash sales in a month. It happened and it had to be addressed, right?
We were telling the wrong story on our CryptoSlam rankings because we knew deep down that these were not arm's length transactions between unrelated buyer and seller. That's how you would define a legitimate sale. So yeah, it definitely occurred. These transactions occurred. So we don't delete them. What we do is we flag them under the wash umbrella as a non-legitimate sale. We had no choice.
That's a great point, by the way.
Doing it, and then it eventually, I think others may have started saying, oh, well, these aren't authentic. Well, the NFT, I think the story was, the NFT, it's booming again, it's all-time highs. And we're like, no, this is not NBA Top Shot here. This is not what's happening. These are whales just spending some gas and flipping expensive Ethereum NFTs between wallets to what were they doing? I think farming, the Looks token or something.
That was it. I don't remember how, if it was like Blur, just, listing and bidding. I don't think there were bids then, but just listing and selling earned you Looks tokens. So it was that simple. And it's effective, as you see. I mean, $11 billion in a month put towards farming on that platform. And then we saw it rear its head again just a year later, but new platform on Blur. So at that point, we had systems in place to actually give clarity. Randy, you said something really important too. Like when I said before, they're zapped from the site. They're not zapped, right? They're just shown a little differently. They're not calculated in the sales totals. But if you browse through a project, you're going to see individual sales, and it's got a little hand icon that signifies wash. So you see it all, very, very transparent, and I love it. But how do you feel? Blur, I don't know if we want to get too into this, but Blur, Blast, wash trades, farming has impacted the space. Is it good? Is it bad?
Before I answer that, we can't talk wash sales without giving a shout out to Scott.Slam. You need to get him on the show too. That guy can talk wash sales because he's the king of washing illegitimate sales from Web3. So because you have to evolve, because the detection mechanism for LooksRare is different than the detection mechanism for Blur. When that started, which is different than what may be showing up on another protocol. So it is like an ongoing effort to track those. So the question though was is this good for the industry? Bad? I would say it's not surprising. We see similar things happening, on centralized exchanges for, perhaps different reasons, but would say it's not surprising. But yeah, like in general, I would say it's probably not good. What value does this add? I don't think it adds value to the ecosystem. So yeah, that's my answer. I would say it's generally not good.
Yep. Okay. Fair take. Okay. I don't know. This is where we start dancing around what can and can't be said, but We talked about kind of how CryptoSlam started and some of these pivotal moments where things on the site were changed. Didn't get into certain specific upgrades on the site either. That's a whole maybe less interesting story for nerds. We probably like it a lot. But where are we going, Randy? What's common? Can you hint it? Of course, announcements next week. What's something to wet our whistle? What direction is it going? And actually, why? Maybe that's the better question for now. Is why is there maybe a change to the platform, the next iteration or next level? I don't even know the right way to say it really, but why?
Well, it's a good question. The why. We're definitely a team of bold dreamers with CryptoSlam. Our crystal balls have been pretty darn good historically. I feel like we know what the industry needs. We know what we're good at. We know what we're not good at. How do you put all that together and introduce something that is needed, is game changing? I've been pretty critical of a few technological advancements, such as BRC20s and how they weren't advancements. So like, it's easy to say, okay, well, this wasn't good for the industry, but well, what is? So I would say what's to come is our it's the manifestation of our vision for the future of data and even beyond data, like data and information in Web3. And how we can all work together in a way, in a more collaborative way, rather than working on the same things independently.
Okay, interesting. I promise I didn't even set up questions earlier, kind of, because that's what we kind of dabbled on that discussion or that idea earlier. It wasn't on purpose, so it clearly is a thing this space needs. Again, less PvP, more working together, more building together, and at least pushing in the same direction. Maybe that's even a nice, easy way to frame it. This is a question just from me personally. I am curious, you as a builder in a startup, and I heard this actually from Brian Armstrong in an interview with Lex Friedman, talking about in startups, right? You build, and you know where you want to get. Maybe there's a mountain in front of you, and there's a peak to that mountain, but it's covered in fog, maybe just, a couple 100 feet up. And to get to the top, you just got to start climbing and take a step, even though you can't see. And you and the team have done that over the years now with CryptoSlam. So with that said, is there anything that you've done here over the past few years with CryptoSlam that you've taken those steps, and maybe the idea of the product wasn't perfect, but you learned from it, so that way now as we do aim for that mountaintop, the path is more clear?
I think any founder will tell you this. Like if you're not swinging and missing every once in a while, or the way I'm a baseball guy. Sometimes it's not necessarily a swing and a miss. It might be a swinging too early and hitting a foul ball down the left field line. Believe me, like I've made even like my entire journey as an entrepreneur, like I've made plenty of mistakes, like things that didn't get off the ground. But yeah, you're right. You do learn from each and every one. And yeah, so it's in general, like, yeah, this is all trended the way it, I'm very happy with the way it trended. I think we'd all like maybe less bumps in the road, but it's also not entirely unexpected. Like you've got to expect that. So yeah, I think what we have coming up is just going to be the manifestation of not just me either. Like I'm obviously a big part of it, but like the CryptoSlam team, like internally, our partners, our friends, like you're just going to see like the entire CryptoSlam ecosystem, not just internally, but like the wider, like we've got a lot of friends out there, like us coming together. And what is that vision for what's needed? What have we learned, as Web3 and all this has evolved? Like, yeah, it's just all going to start coming together now.
I love it. I cannot wait for next week to start getting those announcements out there, letting people.
Yeah, sorry to be annoying with that. I'm sure it's like, just tell us a stupid announcement, but
people get it.
Fun out of it.
There's reasons you got to wait. I mean, things
and
have to be lined up. It does matter. A lot of guys here that are watching work for projects, they get how it works. So you got a lot of builders in this space, truly, not just people memeing and saying we're building, but true builders like you are, like a lot of us are. So awesome stuff. Man, thank you so much for joining. Again, 3 years it took. I loved it. I loved every second of it. I could probably listen to you chat all day. Luckily, I get to listen to you chat often. But guys, thank you for tuning in too. We'll see a lot more of Randy. I'm thinking this is our first introduction to the man. But with that said, thank you guys, Randy. Thank you, sir. Guys, good luck with the CyberKongs mint, by the way. Any final words, by the way, Randy?
I like CyberKongs. You asked me that question, so maybe it's CyberKongs. That's the answer. How about that?
I'll take it. Henry, clip it. Anthony, clip it.
I hear the founder or Henry. Like, is he founder, co-founder? Like,
neither just came on board and really
like he's
part of steering the thing. So yeah.
Everybody associates Henry with Kongs, and anyway,
good dude.
Love that project.
I love it. Love it. Good stuff. All right, guys. Have a great day. We'll see you at 4:30 p.m. Eastern time over on the afternoon show with Henry, with Joe, with myself. Guys, thank you again. We'll see you later.